What if the people policing your neighborhood weren't cops at all, but thugs in fake vests, ready to slam a kid's face into a toilet or drag an old lady across her own driveway? That's exactly what happened in Willow Creek, a quiet little town where the sun always seemed to shine a bit too bright, hiding shadows nobody saw coming. It started with one scream, then another, until the whole place unraveled into a fight for justice that'll make your blood boil and your heart race. Let me tell you how it went down. Evan Carter, 16, was the kind of kid who'd apologize to a chair for bumping into it. Polite to a fault, always early, always prepared. That Wednesday, the sky was a perfect blue, sidewalks glowing with afternoon heat. Evan was cutting through the community rec center to get to his tutor's house, his stomach twisting from skipping lunch. He'd left 10 minutes early because that's who he was, a rule follower, a good kid. The rec center was calm, a few old folks playing checkers, a janitor mopping by the vending machines. Evan waved, like always, then ducked into the bathroom for a quick stop. Big mistake. He didn't see the two men waiting inside, arms crossed, eyes cold. One wore a cap with HOA stitched in black. The other had a vest screaming, HOA enforcement, in cheap, peeling letters. They didn't look friendly. They didn't look legit. You think we don't know what you did? The taller one growled. Evan froze, his backpack slipping off one shoulder. You what? That's all he got out before the man lunged, grabbed his hair, and yanked his head toward an open toilet. Evan's scream ricocheted off the tiles, sharp as a gunshot. Cold porcelain grazed his cheek as he clawed for balance, his sneakers slipping on the wet floor. I didn't do anything, he yelled, voice cracking. The second guy, stocky with a sunburned face and mean little eyes, leaned in close. Graffiti, south wall of the HOA office. Got your name all over it, kid. Evan's heart pounded. I don't even live in your HOA. My house is on Oak Street. The taller one shoved his face closer to the water, not hard enough to break bones, but enough to make Evan's knees buckle. Tears stung his eyes, not from pain, but from the sheer confusion. He'd never broken a rule in his life. Outside, the mob stopped. Joe Ramsey, 64, had been cleaning the rec center since he retired from the Navy. 2 bad hips, a bum shoulder, and a knee brace didn't slow him down when he heard that scream, a desperate, primal sound he hadn't heard since his days in a war zone. He moved fast, too fast for his joints, and burst through the bathroom door. The scene hit him like a punch, a grown man in a fake vest pinning a kid over a toilet, grinning like he'd caught a rat. Hey! Joe barked. Let that kid go, now. The man didn't budge. Back off, old man. This punk tagged HOA property. Joe stepped closer, his voice low and steady. I said let him go. A tense pause. The man released Evan, who slumped against the wall, gasping. You've got no badge, no authority. Joe growled. This is city property, not your little HOA playground. The second guy stepped toward Joe, smirking. Walk away, Grandpa, before you get hurt. Wrong move. Joe wasn't just old, he was tough. He drove his shoulder into the guy's gut, sending him crashing into a sink. The other stumbled into a stall, the door slamming open with a clang. Joe stood tall, chest heaving. Get out, or I call the real cops. They scrambled, but not before one spat at Evan's sneakers. Joe knelt by the kid, his voice soft. You okay, son? Evan nodded, barely whispering. They said I did graffiti? I didn't. Joe believed him. He helped Evan up, sat him in the lobby, and called the police. But before the cops arrived, a mom named Lisa walked in. She'd seen the men in the parking lot, her phone already recording. Her video caught the vests, the sneers, everything. By nightfall, that footage was everywhere. The town exploded. An emergency meeting packed the community center, and the HOA swore those men weren't theirs. By morning, a retired cop from the next town ID'd one of them, Marcus Holt, a disgraced security guard with a rap sheet for roughing people up. The other guy? Still a ghost. Evan didn't go to tutoring for days. Bruises marked his neck, a cut scarred his brow, And worst of all, he stopped talking. A kid who'd fought years to tame a stutter now locked his words away. It took 3 counseling sessions before he whispered, "I thought I was gonna drown." His parents posted his injuries online with a caption that burned, "This is what fake HOA cops did to my son." And then the stories poured in, others targeted, same vests, same lies. Joe wasn't done. He called old friends, a retired marshal, a former judge, a cyber investigator from his Navy days. They dug into Marcus Holt and found a pattern. For 6 months, he and his partner had posed as HOA enforcers, preying on kids, the elderly, anyone too weak to fight back. Fake violations, cash fines, no receipts, just fear. Joe took it to the city, but they dragged their feet. So he went bigger, leaking the footage to a local news station. The story aired at 6 p.m., showing Evan's bruises, Lisa's VY Dale, and an inter-VYEW with Evan's mom. Joe didn't watch it. He was busy helping Evan with a crossword in the rec center office. But his phone rang minutes later. "Turn on the TV." They got him. Marcus Holt was nabbed at a truck stop, still in his fake vest, a trunk full of forged citations and photos of random homes. Evan cried when he heard, not from fear, but from relief. The rec center posted a new rule. No enforcement without city ID. Evan taped up a sign. "Joe saved me. Now let's save each other." It stayed up for months. Then came Ellen Harper. She was 68, a widow, icing cookies for a church sale when a scream sliced through her kitchen window. Sharp, human, desperate. "Let me go!" Ellen dropped her bowl, shards scattering as she ran to the window. Across the street, 2 men in black vests had her neighbor, Clara Monroe, pinned on her car hood. Clara, 70, was in a bathrobe, curlers in her hair, her bare feet kicking. Ellen's voice shook as she yelled, "What the hell's going on?" One man turned, sunglasses hiding his eyes. "She's in violation. Illegal parking." Ellen snapped. "This is a public street. She doesn't even drive." The other guy, burly with a red beard, tightened Clara's cuffs. "Property's responsible," he said flatly. Clara whimpered, "My arm." Ellen's hands shook, but she remembered a card from Clara's daughter, Vanessa, a federal agent. She sprinted inside, found the number, and dialed. "Clara's being assaulted by fake HOA guys," she gasped. The line went dead. A text buzzed. "Stay inside. 7 minutes." Ellen watched from her window as the men dragged Clara, her robes slipping. 6 minutes later, 2 black SUVs roared in. 4 agents stepped out, silent but deadly. The bearded guy tried to bluster. "This is HOA jurisdiction." He was face down in seconds. The other ran but got tackled by a woman in a windbreaker. Clara, trembling, clutched her robe as an agent soothed her. Vanessa arrived, thanking Ellen. "They're not just scammers," she said. "They're predators, ex-military types, sadists. They use HOA rules because no one questions them." Clara had filmed the takedown, her voice muttering, "Get him!" That clip went viral, sparking a national PSA. Film everything. Real law doesn't hide. At a town potluck, the air thick with barbecue and laughter, another scream erupted. A kid, maybe 10, had kicked a soccer ball near an HOA tent, toppling a chair. 3 men in vests burst out, one grabbing the boy, another yelling at his mom. The third reached for a baton. The crowd froze until the boy's grandpa, Ray, a former coach, stepped up. "I saw what he did, and I see what you're doing," he said. The tallest guy sneered, raising the baton. Ray moved faster, twisting the man's wrist until he dropped, screaming. A teen caught it on video. "You don't touch kids," Ray said. The clip blew up, the park hero Ray trending. 2 men were arrested, the third sobbed as he turned himself in. A plaque now marks the spot. Laura Bennett, 44, was unloading groceries when 3 vests pounded on her door, claiming she owed HOA fees. "My house isn't in your HOA." She laughed. They didn't care. One grabbed her, dragging her down her steps, bricks cutting her skin. Her neighbor, Henry, a 70-year-old vet, saw it from his porch. He grabbed a World War II flare gun and fired it skyward. The bang drew cops, who nabbed one guy, a wanted felon. Laura, stitched up in the hospital, said, "I was scared no one would believe me without the blood." Henry's flare proved her wrong. Willow Creek had no HOA, disbanded years ago. Yet fake citations piled up, loud wind chimes, unpatriotic flagpoles. Led by retired Judge Sarah Coleman, the town fought back. At a Sunday standoff, residents held posters of a fake cop's face, shouting his crimes. The men fled, only to be caught dumping their vests. That night, the town burned the notices in a bonfire. Sarah spoke. "We're not ruled by shadows." New signs went up. "Real community, no fakes." Willow Creek learned the hard way. EVYL hides in plain sight, but so does courage. When fake power rises, real voices shaky, scared, or silent must scream louder. And in this town, they did.